Bruce Lowry Chevrolet is celebrating 100 years of family ownership and giving you the best deal on your next vehicle. From the 2022 Chevy Silverado Crew Cab with 1.9% APR for well-qualified buyers, to the 2022 Chevy Equinox with 0% APR or $1,000 cash allowance. Come see us at 711 Southwest Loop 820 in Fort Worth or visit BruceLowryChevrolet.com. Bruce Lowry Chevrolet. Find new roads.
With all this talk recently about rain dances, I started doing some research on my own. I consider myself a pretty curious person. I started doing some research to kind of figure out where did rain dances come from and what do they mean? Where does that originate? And of course, we always think about indigenous Americans or Native Americans, and turns out it's actually a little bit broader than that. So the first thing, of course, is a rain dance is a ritual performed to influence the weather. So it's done to influence whatever powers a certain culture may consider to be in control of the weather or influencing the weather, that kind of thing. So pretty straightforward that, whenever one of these cultures performs a rain dance, they're looking for rain. And what's interesting is we always think about this in terms of ancient religions or ancient cultures or historical events. One story that I read is that there was in Africa, there was a woman who performed a rain dance, and I believe a documentary team actually filmed it and that kind of thing to document this particular ritual. And they were in a terrible, terrible drought. And funny enough, later that day, a drought-breaking rain came through. So, do with that what you will. But that was just part of the research that I did. Now, I mentioned Africa. It's performed by many various indigenous peoples. Now, we always think about, as you see behind me, kind of this decoration of an indigenous American individual or an indigenous American tribe. The thing is, rain dances are performed by indigenous peoples in Hawaii, over in Africa, and in other parts of the world as well. There's different cultures that have some kind of version of a rain dance or a storm dance or something to pray for or influence the provision of rain. Rain is a basic need for the ground, and it's just something that is needed all over the world. So it's not too surprising that there would be different different rituals and different approaches to this. But in many different indigenous cultures, dance or those kinds of physical acts and rituals and those kind of things are the way to go. And so it's not too surprising, but it's still interesting that, the world over, there's different kinds of dances. Obviously, in Hawaii, you're looking at more of the hula type stuff, and then in Africa, the dancing is a little bit different. The indigenous and Native Americans, obviously, there's drums involved and rhythm and these kind of things. And so it was kind of cool to see how it can kind of differ from place to place. In the United States, it's mostly common among southern tribes. So I read a article or a post that a Lakota individual, a member of the Lakota tribe, they said when they heard rain dance, they thought it was just some big joke or some stereotype or something of that nature. But then they learned that, it's actually a thing. So the Lakota tribe, of course, is in North Dakota, South Dakota, southern Canada, those areas. And they found out that even though they don't practice rain dances, for whatever reason, I guess they don't need to, it's more common in southern places, which makes sense because a lot of the time it's places like Texas and Oklahoma and some of these southern parts of the country that deal with these droughts. And so, it was cool to kind of see that, even among indigenous Americans, there's things to learn from different parts of the country, which leads to the last point, that indigenous Americans are not homogenous. It's a huge point to remember because a lot of the time, especially in pop culture, we've seen indigenous and Native Americans portrayed as just, the same old thing everywhere. The headdresses, the bow and arrow, all those kind of things. The different tribes sometimes could not be more different from each other, and they can have similar practices and similar culture and those kind of things. But these rain dances is one example of, some cultures in indigenous communities did not practice that and really had no idea what it was, versus others, it was central to their practices and to their culture. So just not a whole lot to cover today. Unfortunately, I didn't have a lot of time to really dig deep into this, but if you find something interesting about rain dances, feel free to put that in the comments below. I love doing research on stuff like this. I love learning more about cultures. There's some indigenous American blood in my background, supposedly. That's the family story. We're not, too sure about that. But here in Ellis County, particularly in Waxahachie, which is told to be a Native American word, there were Native American tribes that settled here and hunted here and lived here, at least traveled through here. So, a little bit of a local tie too. But if you'll put in the comments below anything you know about indigenous rain dances, if there's something you've learned, or if you go off on the Google rabbit trail and you find something interesting, feel free to put that below as well. And hopefully, if we're doing these rain dances, in fact, a friend of mine actually did his own kind of version of a rain dance the other day. Hey, maybe if we combine that with, washing the car and turning on the sprinkler and that kind of thing, all these different kind of superstitious things that we do to make it rain, maybe if we just do all of the things at once, just get the entire community, the entire county to just all do it at once, not only will the car wash make a lot of money, but maybe we can finally get some rain here in North Texas. Thank you so much for watching. Again, put those things in the comments below that you find out. I would love to find those things out. And, let me know if there's another topic you would like for me to cover as well. I'm hoping very soon to talk about what happens when it rains in an area that's been plagued by drought for so long. Maybe I'll do that next week just to give us a little bit of hope. But we're getting into August now, and so, we'll have to kind of see if we can get the pattern to go against the grain a little bit here pretty soon. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you guys next time.